October 9th, 2025 is National DAF Day, Donor Advised Fund Day. This is year 2 of National Donor Advised Fund Day. My name is Laurie Styron. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of CharityWatch. So if you know what a donor advised fund is, you can take a break for just about 30 seconds here. A donor advised fund is a giving vehicle that allows you to give in the tax year that's most advantageous to you for tax purposes. So you know you want to support charities, but giving this year, if you're an itemizer, right, it has more tax advantages than spreading your donations out over many years or giving in a different year. So you put a bunch of money into your donor advised fund in the year that gives you personally the greatest tax benefit. And then you have technically unlimited time to then decide which charities you want to recommend those donations be distributed to. Once you put the money in your donor advised fund, you can't take it back and use it for personal reasons. It doesn't belong to you anymore, right? It's in basically what amounts to like an escrow account where you have to eventually donate it to a qualified public charity. But you get to take your time and watch those investments grow. Typically the money's invested, the investment can grow, and then you have more money to give, right? Well, the problem, now everybody can come back in and listen to the rest of this. The people who know or don't know what it is, now that you know. The problem with donor advised funds is while it's a very good giving vehicle in many ways, it discourages impulsive giving, right? You put money in there and then you decide which charities are worthy of those donations later once you've had time to research the charity, make sure it aligns with your values, that it's efficient, that it's responsibly governed. CharityWatch is very much in favor of all of that stuff. What we're not in favor of, and the nonprofit sector is pretty much aligned in this, is that too much money is just languishing in donor advised funds, not being put into use for anything charitable. So there's a lot of needs in the world, in our society. There's, homeless people who need to be housed. There's hungry people who need to be fed. There's cancer patients that, might need emergency funding to pay their bills while they're in treatment. There's social justice causes that need to be forwarded. There's, environment that maybe you want to protect, or just, local organizations, your food bank that might need food, all kinds of worthy causes that need funding to continue. And as more and more donations have been put into these donor advised funds, basically a purgatory, there's less money available then to actually be put into action. And when you see these figures, aggregated figures on how much giving has grown and then to charities, so charitable giving has grown, well, they're including all the money that's been dumped into these donor advised funds that actually hasn't reached any charities, like operating charities yet. So we see giving growing, especially from larger donors, but then we don't have the data on, well, how much of this growth is actually just going into donor advised funds where it's not really being put into action yet, and how badly some of these charities really need that money to continue their work. So National DAF Day was created by the nonprofit sector to basically encourage people, if you've put a lot of money into your donor advised funds and it's just been sitting there and you haven't been making distributions, National DAF Day is a day that encourages you, like, please log in and make some distributions to charities that you think are worthy of support right now. The National DAF Day people, whoever's behind it, it's an amalgamation of a lot of different stakeholders in the nonprofit sector. But the consensus is that they're encouraging you to give 10% of your portfolio. Now, maybe you don't want to give 10%. That's okay. But what you should take away from this is that this is just a little reminder. Log in if you haven't. There's a lot of worthy charities out there that really do need funding for their operations right now. And oftentimes when we do something ourselves, we don't realize, okay, we put a bunch of money in our DAF, we didn't get around to distributing it. That's okay if you were the only one doing it, but the problem is pretty much everybody's doing that. And that's why, as of the end of 2023, according to the National Philanthropic Trust, there is over $251 billion sitting in donor advised funds not being put into action at operating charities. That was as of the most current data available right now, which is December 31st, 2023. So in honor of National DAF Day this year, even if you don't reach that 10% mark, I do still encourage you to log in and make some distributions from your donor advised fund. And of course, Charity Watch, we're a public charity as well. And so if you find our information useful and helpful, all of our watchdog and investigative work and financial investigations helpful in helping you make informed giving decisions. We aren't funded by nonprofit industry interests. We're not funded by charities paying for our ratings. We aren't an organization that exists to amplify charities' fundraising and marketing materials. We exist to help donors, to provide donors with the information they need to make informed giving decisions. If we've helped you in the past and you find our information useful, perhaps consider making a distribution to us as well as you're considering all of the worthy charities that may be worthy of your support this year. Again, my name is Laurie Styron, and I hope that this is helpful, and happy National DAF Day.